Hello everyone, welcome to my class today. Today we'll see about bronchiectasis. So bronchiectasis means the bronchus. So bronchus means that is a tube which is the continuation from the trachea. So trachea will divide into two as the bronchus, and from bronchus there are so many bronchioles are arising. So the bronchus of the lungs is permanently damaged. Permanently means completely damaged, thickened and widened. Okay, so widened means they will be overextended, leading to impaired oxygenation of lungs. Okay, so that means that in the bronchus there is some muscular structure or a support structure is been damaged. So because of that, the air which is coming inside, it will get trapped in this damaged bronchus, and same way the carbon dioxide which is exhaling all gets trapped inside this damaged part of the bronchus. So bronchus will become dilated, widened and thickened. That is called as bronchiectasis. Okay, so coming to the causes or etiology of bronchiectasis, the first main cause is defect in the cartilage structure of the bronchus. Okay, so that is during birth itself, in the embryonic development, there is some problem where the bronchus cartilage structure is not formed properly. So when there is a defect, this bronchus acts as a passage of airway inside the lungs. So this support structure will become loose, and thereby that area will get distended and widened. And next condition is due to any disease in the lungs resulting in disease in the lungs that is causing decreased mucus clearance. Okay, so mucus clearance, so whenever our body is producing mucus, okay, so that is the lung, there is so many respiratory mucus which produces this respiratory mucus. So it is a secretion, so these secretions should be brought outside immediately. Okay, so they have to go, so the ciliated cells which is in the trachea, they push this mucus outside and they send it into the digestive system. So in case of disease in this lung, the mucus cannot get eliminated, so all this mucus will get accumulated inside and they cause the bronchus walls to become thickened. And next is any inflammatory disease of the lungs. Okay, so as I already said, if there is any bronchitis, tracheitis, so any disease of the lungs, the microorganisms will start producing some chemicals which will cause damage to the bronchial walls, and thereby the bronchus will get damaged. Okay, and next is so this inflammatory disorder, they can be due to some bacteria or viral organism. Okay, and next is due to any chemicals, so this can be occupational pollutants or smoking. Okay, occupational pollutants, smoking and any air pollution. So these all pollutants, they are chemicals, they can come and attach in the walls of the bronchus and they can cause damage to the bronchial walls. Okay, so next we see the pathophysiology of the bronchiectasis. Okay, so coming to the pathophysiology of bronchiectasis, due to any predisposing factors, that means it can be any inflammation or any pollution or any damage in the, that is cartilage cells or structures are not formed. So those predisposing factors, they can cause damage to the muscular supporting the muscular structure supporting the bronchial wall. Okay, so this bronchial wall is supported by muscular cartilages. So in case if there is any damage to the cartilage or if there is any infection, so this part of the bronchus is getting damaged. Okay, so when the part of the damage, so the ciliated cells cannot eliminate the mucus. Okay, so they have to push the mucus up through the epiglottis and they have to eliminate it outside. So the mucus which is produced, they will not get cleared, they will get accumulated inside this bronchus itself. Okay, that is called reduced mucus clearance, which will cause accumulation of mucus within the bronchus. Okay, and because so much of mucus is getting accumulated, there is decreased expiratory airflow. So from down alveoli, the carbon dioxide has to get eliminated. Okay, because here the mucus is obstructed, they cannot get eliminated. That is called decreased expiratory airflow. So because of this decreased expiratory airflow, there is trapping of carbon dioxide within the bronchus. Okay, so carbon dioxide carbon dioxide from the pulmonary capillaries are coming to the alveoli. They have to get eliminated, but this carbon dioxide cannot be eliminated because mucus and other secretions are obstructing the bronchus. Okay, so when there is so much obstruction, all the carbon dioxide will get trapped inside and they cause dilating the bronchus. Because of the air, mucus, everything get accumulated inside. That is called permanent dilation of the bronchus. So when there is more dilation afterwards, the bronchus is a passageway of air. They cannot do their normal function, so that is they get damaged. Widened means it becomes over distended and thickened. So this mucus starts producing cells and they get accumulated on the bronchus, which will cause the tube to become thickened, and thereby they cannot move the air in and out of the lungs. So this condition is called as bronchiectasis. Okay, so coming to the clinical manifestation or signs and symptoms of bronchiectasis. Okay, so clinical manifestation or signs and symptoms. So first you can see purulent sputum with cough. Okay, so because there is so much sputum, so intermittently patient will put out the, so because there is so much mucus, so this mucus intermittently they can come outside as a purulent. Purulent means somewhat smelling, foul smelling sputum with cough. Sputum is phlegm, and patient will have dyspnea, which is difficulty in breathing. Okay, and then they will have pleuritic chest pain. Okay, so patient will have pleuritic chest pain because of the damage and air trapping inside the lungs. Impaired expiration, the person can go for chest pain. Okay, and there can be hemoptysis. Hemoptysis means it is blood tinged sputum. Okay, so that means when the phlegm come with sputum, it is called as hemoptysis. Okay, so blood in sputum is called as hemoptysis. So this is because there is inflammation or any injury to the walls of the bronchus due to infection or any virus. They can they can damage the cells and they can cause the blood to be mixed with the sputum. Okay, and next patient will go for wheezing. Wheezing is an whistling respiratory sound. This is because of the obstruction. The air has to move in a thin layer. So when we take in and up breathing, the person will have the whistling sound. Okay, this is about the signs and symptoms. Next, coming to the diagnostic findings. Okay, so diagnostic findings. So first, when the person is putting out sputum, you have to do a sputum analysis. That is, culture and sensitivity will be done to find what microorganism is growing, so that we can give the particular antibiotics. Okay, so that we can give the sensitive antibiotics and treat the person. Next we will do a chest x-ray. So in chest x-ray you can see widened bronchus. Okay, so the bronchial wall will be widened, that you can identify in the chest x-ray, and also consolidation of lungs can be seen. Okay, and then HRCT. HRCT means high resonance CT scan will be done. So here also you can see the dilated bronchus. Okay, so the dilated areas of the bronchus can be seen in the CT scan. And next, the pulmonary function test. So in pulmonary function test you can see the lung capacity, and same way ABG analysis will be done in the blood, which will show decreased saturation, decreased oxygen, that is hypoxemia, and increased carbon dioxide, which is hypercapnia. So this all you can find in the diagnostic findings. Okay, coming to management, first we have to give the antibiotics. So antibiotics, according to the sputum culture and sensitivity result, you will find which bacteria is causing the infection. So you have to give according to that sensitive antibiotic. Okay, and then you can give some beta agonist in order to treat dyspnea. If the patient is having dyspnea, you can give drugs like albuterol and terbutaline. Okay, so these will help in clearing the mucus and also to treat the excess asthma. Okay, and then in order to increase airway function, you can give deriphyllin and aminophylline. Okay, so deriphyllin, aminophylline can be given in case if the patient is having a thickened bronchus to dilate the bronchus. Okay, so it is a bronchodilator. And then you can give mucolytic agents. So because one cause of bronchiectasis is there is increased mucus secretion and this mucus is not cleared. So in order to clear the mucus secretion, they give mucolytic agents like diphenhydramine and that is Benadryl. Okay, and we have to give chest physiotherapy to remove the secretions. Other management like suctioning and steam inhalation, nebulizer therapy, oxygen therapy. So these all to relieve secretions, and oxygen therapy to improve oxygenation of the lungs. Okay, so to increase the oxygenation and to treat hypoxemia, they give oxygen therapy. And then you can also give postural drainage. So postural drainage is in different positions. We have to keep the patient and then we have to tap and remove the secretions. Okay, so these are the management. Otherwise in nursing management you have to say to avoid all the pollutants and avoid all the pollutants, and we have to teach the person about coughing exercise and removing the secretions. Okay, and last is the surgical management. Okay, surgical management, in that we can do a lobectomy. So in lobectomy means it is removal of the surgical resection of the affected lobe. So which lobe is the bronchus is dilated, that area will be affected. That area will be removed. Surgical resection means removal of that area where the muscular structure of the bronchus is weak. And next, the segmental resection. Okay, so in segmental resection they will only remove the small portion of the affected area, and in lobectomy they will remove the full lobe. Okay, so the one particular lobe where this mucus secretion and other damage is there, that lobe if they remove, it is called as lobectomy. And segmental resection is only the affected portion of the lung will be removed. Okay, so this is about the bronchiectasis and other pre and post operative management. As usual you have to do, which we will discuss in the last class. Thank you.